Hey everyone, this is Corbin from Tru-Security again. I want to talk about this WPA2. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it. There's plenty of websites that can explain in depth on what this is about, and I'm just going to cover what you need to know. So first things first, let's just go ahead and break down what rumors are out there and explain why those aren't true. So I'm sure, as you've seen on social media, or if you've done your own research, you might have come to the conclusion that this is the worst thing that ever happened to your router, your Wi-Fi, right? Anybody can now hack your Wi-Fi. Anybody can now get into your network and really nasty stuff. I've read a couple sites that said that WPA2's encryption algorithm has been broken. That is, when I read that claim, I was just completely baffled. So I could go in and talk to you about how strong AES 256 is, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's just say, no, they're not able to go in and break your encryption and steal your connection. All right, that's just, we don't have the computational power right now to do that. It's coming. This is the first step towards phasing out WPA2 and moving to like a token based or some type of a different authentication and authorization method. But this is the first step towards that. But the rumor being that the encryption algorithm being broken, it's not true. So basically what happens is same way with TCP/IP, or let me break it down differently. When you type in google.com, all right, it doesn't just google.com enter, boop, Google pops up. That's what you see. That's not what happens in the cyber world part of things, all right? So in the cyber world, there's a handshake. It goes, hi, and then Google says, hi, how are you? And then you say, I'm fine, right? So there's a three-way handshake. Well, with routers and connecting to Wi-Fi, there's a four-way handshake, okay? And this vulnerability takes place in that handshake. And essentially what it does with cell phones is different than from a Windows machine, but instead of really deep diving and explaining what all the differences are, there's something called a nonce, right? Nonce, Charlie Echo. And this nonce is a number, and it's a one-time generated number that's only supposed to be used once. In this case, though, essentially what the attacker does is he forces the user's machine to reinstall the nonce. And when it does that, he gets a copy of it. Now, some of you guys that are watching this are already, you're already in the next step. You're like, okay, well, this is going towards a replay attack. Yes, but no. So the reason I say yes is because you're using somebody else's key to authenticate yourself to the network, right? Which sounds like a replay attack. But knowing the fact that you're not taking credentials that have already expired. You're not reusing credentials. You're using the credentials that are active from this other person. That's my understanding. So this attack gets launched, and you're connecting to the wireless router, right, or the Wi-Fi, and somebody else is on the Wi-Fi. That's the key, right? That's why a lot of this, the impact of this can be very high. The rate of occurrence, I would say, is very low. All right. Pre-shared keys, that just came into my mind. I want to put that right there, and we'll come back to that in a minute with the pre-shared keys. So when you start connecting, essentially the attacker forces you to reinstall the encryption level, or I can't think of the word right now. it forces you to reinstall the nonce, okay? And when you reinstall the nonce, it gets a copy of it, and then essentially it has a skeleton key to the router. That's probably the easiest way to understand it. So then any type of traffic that goes back and forth between you and the router, it can decrypt, okay? Now, when you go to Amazon.com, this isn't going to affect you, all right? When you go to Amazon, there's a different encryption level that takes place in the network. Well, I'm not going to get technical with it. There's a different encryption level that happens on SSL. So let's see if we can... Okay, you got your computer, and you got your router. And then over here, right, I know, right, over here, you have your internet. Okay, so computer, router, internet, okay? Woohoo! We're talking about the attack between the computer and the router, all right? So when you go to Amazon, when you go out to the internet here, and it uses that HTTPS, or you see the little green up in the URL window or block, rather. If it's green or it says secured or HTTPS, anything like that, you're good to go, right? In most cases, okay? So some people can argue that yes, you can force a web browser to negotiate off of HTTPS and settle for a plain text attack, but we're not worrying about that. So if you're doing shopping, if you're doing credit cards, you're doing anything sensitive like that, and you're on your computer, you're good to go. Because basically what this means is the attack that we're worried about right now is only between the computer and the router. Whoop. It's not here out on the internet. So anything that your computer does with the internet, again, anything that it does where it's secured on the internet with the HTTPS or any encryption or things like that, that's going to be safe, because then they have to break that encryption, and that encryption's, it's pretty high. It's really tough to break. And it's basically not worth somebody's time to do that. So, nor is it probably possible. So with this attack between the host and between the router, okay? And I know I keep flipping words around, it all means the same thing, okay? In this computer stuff, the networking stuff, cyber stuff, really, everything's interchangeable. Nobody has the same set of vocabulary. Very frustrating to study for exams and things like that. However, in this case, we're focusing on between your computer and the router. So we got to come back to the pre-shared keys. Okay, another vulnerability with this. So I don't know if you configure your router, and what does configure mean? For people in the industry, it's a very common word, but it's not as elaborate as what somebody who's not familiar with the cyber world might think it is. Configure, you might be thinking, oh boy, well, I don't know how to write in ones and zeros, I don't know how to write in code, I don't know how to go in and type all this crazy stuff up and get a computer to do what I want it to do. Yes, it can mean those things, but if you've got like a Belkin router, or you got a Walmart router, or you've got a router that's been given to you from an internet service provider, right? So like Time Warner, Spectrum, Verizon, whatever. It's not like that. So all these routers have the button that's on the top of them, right? Well, at least normally the button's on the top. I guess sometimes they could be on the back. But anyway, you get the router, you plug it in, and you boop, hit that button, and your computer is able to hook up to the Wi-Fi, and you hit the ground running, okay? I had to research that. I've never pushed the button and hooked things up. I don't know why. I just never thought about doing it that way. So what I do instead is I've set my router up to have an SSID, which is, how people can change the name of their Wi-Fi, right? So they can put like the NSA's watching you, and like when you hit the little connect to a network button and it pops up and you can see the NSA is watching you, that's what an SSID is, okay? Anyway, I changed that to something very simple, so it's my network, right? And then I give it a password, and then I give that password out to people who want to connect up to my wireless, my Wi-Fi, right? The easier way and the less secure way is just push the button and it'll pop up on your machine and you hit connect. All right, that is doing a pre-shared key. All right, when you push the button, this is an issue because this is a really big problem with the WPA2 protocol, is that with pre-shared keys, it does the same thing as what it does with the four-way handshake. It'll immediately make the host reinstall, and the attacker gets the skeleton key, and now, you know, bazinga, right? I got that off of what's that show called? Big Bang Theory. I like that word, bazinga. And you know, they're watching all your stuff. So okay, get out of the technical stuff, right? What does this mean? Okay, this means that if you're at Starbucks, okay, and you go to log on to their Wi-Fi, and somebody else, who knows why, wants to watch your connection between the router and your computer, they can do this, right? And you might not know because there's a bunch of people in Starbucks that you don't know. However, when you're at home, like, you're gonna see some weird dude or girl, I guess, in a car in front of your driveway, like, they're not supposed to be there. You know, the most you have to worry about is neighbors doing this. And yeah, I don't know, maybe there's some neighbors out there that would do it, but it's not really worth their time. So, countermeasures for this, or ways to fix this. Stop pushing the button on the router. Don't do that anymore. That's bad. Because it creates the pre-shared key, as we talked about, and the pre-shared key can be forced to reinstall. Boom, they have your connection. Done. No more button pressing. Now you might be saying, well, I don't know how to configure my router. That's perfectly fine. It's actually really easy. What you have to do, and this is going to sound complicated, but believe me, it's not, all right? So you find your default gateway. Well, what the heck? You know, oh, I knew this was going to be hard. No. Find your default gateway, okay? Normally, I'm going to tell you what it is. 192.168.0.1. You take that number and you put it in your web browser and you hit enter. If it is your default gateway, all right, it's going to take you to your router login. Your router login is very easy. You're going to type admin, and then for the password, you can either use it's going to be admin, or you can go admin password or admin no password, but most of the time it's the word admin, and then the password is that big long alphanumerical craziness that is at the bottom of the router that nobody ever remembers. So once you've logged into the router, there's going to be every router is different, all right? So there's going to be a bunch of different options. What you want to look for is you want to look for the wireless settings, all right? You click on it, and it's going to come over there, and it's going to say, here's your SSID. You can change that. You just click in the box, and it's just like a Word document. You backspace out what you don't want and type in Star Wars or whatever you want, okay? Cool, easy peasy. Then you go down to the passphrase, password, whatever it is, and you type your own password, okay? And then once that's saved, now you're going to have Star Wars in the little network box. You know, you click the network and it says, okay, what Wi-Fi? You click Star Wars, and then whatever password, let's say it's Obi-Wan Kenobi with a 1 at the end, right? That's your password. So click Star Wars, type in Obi-Wan Kenobi 1, hit enter, boom, you're connected. That bypasses, like, pretty much everything. Unless the person's in a car outside of your house watching your computer connect to your router, which would be super weird. So you don't freak out. I gotta throw this out there. Disclaimer: when you do this and you change your SSID and you change your password for your network, all the computers and all the devices that were connected to your router are going to drop off. So you have to go back to all those devices and click Star Wars and put Obi-Wan Kenobi 1 as the password, all right? I know, pain in the butt. It's going to make you safer, though, in the long run. So I'll do a little home Wi-Fi router video in a little bit and kind of run through some tips. And Instead of doing it in the car like I am here, I'll do it on the computer and walk you through just different examples of what it can look like inside of a router, so that way you can follow along, or get the idea or the gist of what it's supposed to look like. So WPA2, the encryption algorithm is not broken. There is a vulnerability in it, and somebody has found out how to take advantage of that vulnerability and watch your stuff, basically. Excuse me. So what can you do? Stop pushing the button, set up your own SSID and your own password, and update your computer. They're going to release a patch for it, and a patch is nothing more than just a fix. It's a fix, right? I can talk about that too for anybody that needs me to. But as always, this is Corbin from Tru-Security. Go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because I do these videos frequently, especially if it's something that I can talk about on my drive here. I do them frequently, and if there's anything that you guys want to see, let me know. I'll do a video on it and I'll post it for y'all. All right, so that's it for me. All right, take care.